Times Square is a major tourist destination of New York City, perhaps, and we are going to start our stories here. Times Square can even be called the center of the world, with the exception of Greenwich Observatory, but that is only by longitude. Everybody across the globe has heard about Times Square, and everyone has a biased view. Just ask any New Yorker. But let us try to look on Times Square with a different point of view, with an open mind. And you will see here a flowing, variegated crowd gathered from all corners of the world. The lights of yellow taxis decorating gray pavement with streaks. Wall-to-wall billboards that form a multicolored, live kaleidoscope. And urban skyscrapers rising up into the sky. And you will sense the spirit of the Big Apple. Times Square is in the theater district. But in your first visit, you are probably going to miss out on visiting the theaters. This is why we will tell you about this side in one of our future stories. And obviously shopping. Times Square is home to lots of shops, many of which often hold sales. I love shopping here. I always find some unique, pretty thing. McDonald's, how without it? However, I enjoy going to Pacific Times Square, to sit and read a book, to people watch, to think in the silence of city noise, and to admire the beauty of this grand urban and peaceful strength of civilization. After taking a 5-minute walk to the bridge at First Avenue, you will see the most famous view of 42nd Street. Let's take a walk down 42nd Street. Having returned to Pershing Square, Park Avenue, you will see the beauty of Grand Central Terminal, MetLife Building, Hyatt Hotel, and Chrysler Building. Our next stop is Fifth Avenue, which is famous for being one of the most expensive and elegant streets in the world. And New York Public Library, established in 1895, is the second largest public library in the United States. Bryant Park is a place where you can take a rest, sitting on grass in summer and going ice skating in winter. Avenue of the Americas is the avenue of office buildings and elite shops. At the next intersection with Broadway, you can see Times Square. Here is located at Times Square, the 42nd Street subway station. Can anybody name all of the trains coming to this station? 7th Avenue, also known as Fashion Avenue, gives one more beautiful view of Times Square. McDonald's, how without it? Moving further west, we walk into Theater District. Broadway Musical Theater, New Amsterdam Theater, Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. Recently closed B.B. King's Blues Club. Regal Cinemas, Madame Tussauds, Empire Theater. Port Authority Bus Terminal occupies an area between 8th and 9th Avenues, which is the main bus gateway into Manhattan. After 9th Avenue, there is a residential district. New buildings create a new typical image of skyline. But even here, some kind of beauty on 42nd Street can be found. Metropolitan Museum of Art is one of the most popular museums in the world, loved by New Yorkers, and is the most accessible for tourists. Every year, Metropolitan Museum of Art opens its doors up to 7 million visitors to let them see how art comes to life in the museum's galleries. The museum asks to refrain from taking videos. Let us also not break this rule. The main building of the Met is found on 5th Avenue. The Metropolitan Museum of Art is soon to celebrate its 150th anniversary, having been founded in 1870. The museum has over 2 million jewels of history and rare and beautiful objects. The permanent collection includes works of art from classical antiquity and ancient Egypt, painting and sculptures from Europe, a collection of American and modern art. The collection is separated into 17 separate departments, such as American, Asian, Oceanian, European paintings, sculpture, and decorative arts, and non-geographically designed collections, such as the Costume Institute, Drawing and Prints, Robert Lehman Collection, Modern and Contemporary Art, Photographs. The museum often hosts special exhibitions. It may be an exhibition presenting an artist or displaying arts that have been loaned out from a different museum, or focusing on some arts movement. Digital Collection, opened in 2013, allows people across the world to have 375,000 works of art available at their fingertips. You can also find another beauty, the beauty of the Manhattan skyline over Central Park on a rooftop garden. I like to just take a walk through the Metropolitan Museum of Art, to roam in the historic halls of the museum, think of eternity, admire art, touch perfection, and get inspired. Central Park is especially beautiful in the spring when cherry blossoms bloom. Established in 1857, Central Park is one of the most popular parks in the U.S. and one of the most famous places in the world. Central Park is a favorite place of relaxation for New Yorkers and is their pride. For tourists, Central Park perhaps starts with 59th Street and carriage horses, which they often see in movies. The most popular place in the park is the Mall and Literary Walk. This is how the mall looks in spring. We will show the mall in summer in our 5th story. In Central Park, there are many places where movies are shot. Conservatory water is also loved by filmmakers. Not many know that the boat pond is a model of the fountain in Luxembourg Gardens in Paris. Films are shot in Central Park, but sometimes it happens the other way around. Fairy tales also come to Central Park. Alice from Lewis Carroll's classic Alice's Adventures in Wonderland popped in here. Tourists also love this place. For children, another joyful place is Belvedere Castle. In Central Park, a large space is occupied by 7 bodies of water, which will please you with its freshness. You can also take a romantic boat and row around the lake. You can also find a place for quiet solitude with nature here. Central Park is loved by people with healthy lifestyles, runners, cyclists, and inline skaters. Sheep Meadow is a favorite spot for children and families, visitors who come to relax, friends and companies. The sun is setting. Central Park occupies an area of 843 acres. In one day, you wouldn't be able to get around all of it. Gapstow Bridge is a symbolic view of New York. The city's skyline is a magnificent supplement to the beauty of nature. I hope you will spend your time joyfully in Central Park of New York and relax away from the hustle of the rushed city. Let me show you the most beautiful and significant views of New York. The most iconic view of New York is the view from top of the Rock. Here you will see Chrysler Building, Midtown, Empire State Building, Downtown, and Freedom Tower. Every day, up to 10,000 tourists visit here to see Manhattan's skyline, grand sunset, night city illuminated with many colors. The next significant view is the view of Manhattan Financial District from the Brooklyn Bridge Park. A popular place for tourists is Brooklyn Bridge. I like this view from Manhattan Bridge. Here's deserted and peaceful. From Manhattan Bridge, there also opens the best view of the illumination of downtown Manhattan. Let us get back to Manhattan, to 42nd Street. 42nd Street is especially beautiful during Manhattan Henge, at sunset when the sun aligns perfectly with streets. You will be in awe at the architecture of Grand Central Terminal, Hyatt Hotel, and Chrysler Building. West 42nd Street will please you with its shining of night lights, like Las Vegas. The most famous view of Midtown Manhattan opens from Hamilton Park, New Jersey. However, even photographers only rarely reach this place. And this place offers another beautiful view of night in downtown Manhattan. Another, yet not any less significant, classic view of Midtown opens from Gantry Plaza State Park, Long Island City. Here you can take a walk in a deserted park and night pier. Central Park is a treasure chest of the very best views of New York. You can take a walk along the mall and roll around on Sheep Meadow. You can find many cozy corners which have elements of traditional architecture, serenity of nature, and blue sky. Central Park's views culminate in a harmonic blend of nature and Manhattan skyline. When talking about graceful views, it's impossible not to mention Times Square. You can find beauty anywhere in New York, like the view of Flatiron Building and Columbus Circus. You can find beauty even here, right on the pavement. 34th Street, Madison Avenue, the Empire State Building. Sunset on a classical view of Manhattan Bridge. Park Avenue. Modern night, empty downtown. New York is the most beautiful city. In these 5 stories, we are happy to give you this fairy tale.